I'm Jade Hughes, and the day I signed those divorce papers was supposed to feel like freedom. Instead, Ray sat across from me in that sterile conference room, smirking like he'd won some sick game. "No one's gonna want damaged goods," he said loud enough for his lawyer to hear. "You couldn't even keep me satisfied." I kept my pen moving, my jaw locked tight. When I walked out, I swore I'd never let anyone make me feel that small again. My studio became my sanctuary. Metal and fire don't judge. At midnight, I'd weld sculptures until sparks flew like angry stars, trying to burn away the memory of his voice. That's where I was when my friend suggested the language exchange night. "Get out of this damn workshop," she said. I almost didn't go. Mila White walked in late, all blonde hair and gray eyes that seemed to catch every flicker of candlelight in that community center. She wanted to practice her American English, teach some Gaelic in return. We laughed over my butchered pronunciation of Scottish words. Then her fingers brushed mine, reaching for the same phrase card, and neither of us moved away. Something shifted in that moment, something I wasn't ready to name yet. We met for coffee 3 days later. Mila told me about inheriting a distillery empire she never wanted, how the weight of family expectations felt like drowning. I found myself talking about Ray, about the marriage that slowly killed who I used to be. When our hands touched reaching for sugar packets, she didn't pull away, neither did I. She came to my studio the following week. I watched her eyes travel over my sculptures, the way her lips parted when I fired up the torch to show her my process. "You're so strong," she said, but she was looking at my arms, my hands. The air felt charged, dangerous. Then Ray showed up. Drunk, demanding I sign over assets that weren't even his. "You owe me," he slurred, backing me against my workbench. I was calculating how hard I'd need to swing my hammer when Mila's voice cut through. "Leave now or I'm calling the police." Her Scottish accent thickened with anger. Ray looked between us, sneered something ugly, and stumbled out. Mila's hand found mine, steadying. "You okay?" I nodded, but I wasn't thinking about Ray anymore. Mila started showing up every evening after that. We'd sit in my studio with wine, pretending to practice languages while really just talking about everything else. The way she looked at me made my skin warm. I caught myself watching her mouth form words, wondering what it would feel like against mine. My gallery opening should have been a triumph. Mila arrived in a black dress that made my heart stutter. Then Ray crashed through the door, voice booming about how my work was amateur trash, how I'd always been worthless. Before I could react, Mila stepped between us. "Her work has more soul than you'll ever comprehend," she said, eyes blazing. People stared, whispered. I didn't care. We walked home in silence, tension crackling between us like static. Under a streetlight, Mila stopped, turned to me. "Jade, She didn't finish, just pulled me close and kissed me, soft and questioning. I froze for a heartbeat, then kissed her back, tasting wine and want. When we broke apart, we were both shaking. "That was..." I started. "Yeah," she breathed. Everything had just changed. We met at a cafe the next morning, both nervous as hell. I started. "Me neither," Mila finished. But she reached across the table, laced her fingers through mine. "I can't stop thinking about you, neither could I." We agreed to see where this went, no pressure, no labels, just us. Then Ray's online campaign started. Posts everywhere calling me unstable, a failure, a liar about our marriage. My commissions dried up overnight. I showed up at Mila's door at 2 a.m., tears streaming. She pulled me inside, held me while I shattered. "We'll destroy him," she whispered fiercely, "together." The next evening, wine was supposed to calm our nerves while we plotted strategy. Instead, we ended up in her bedroom, hands trembling as we undressed each other. She kissed down my neck, my collarbone, learning my body like a new language. I'd never felt so wanted, so completely seen. We moved together slowly at first, then desperately, discovering what made each other gasp and arch. Rain drummed against windows as we fell asleep tangled together, her breath warm on my shoulder. Everything had shifted again, deeper this time. Mila used her business connections to gather evidence of Ray's defamation campaign. We spent late nights documenting every post, every lie. Her cousin Taylor arrived from Scotland, took one look at us and smiled knowingly. "You two have that look," she said. I didn't ask what look. The fire alarm woke me at 2 a.m. Smoke poured under my apartment door. I grabbed my laptop and phone, ran barefoot down the stairs. Firefighters said someone tampered with the electrical wiring near my unit. I knew. Ray. Standing on the sidewalk watching my home burn, I had nowhere to go. Mila arrived within minutes, wrapped me in her coat. You're staying with me. Living together changed everything. She left notes in my lunch. I'd find her humming while making coffee. But the stress cracked us both. We should go to the police, I insisted. My lawyers are better, she countered. We fought, voices rising, until she grabbed my face. I'm protecting you. I softened, I know. We held each other while sirens wailed outside. Mila walked into Ray's office like she owned it. Her lawyer spread evidence across his desk, proof of harassment, proof he hired someone for the fire. I'm buying out your largest client, she said coldly. And I'll systematically dismantle everything you've built unless you leave Jade alone forever. Ray's face went white. He signed the settlement and restraining order within an hour. That night, champagne turned into slow kisses that led us to her bedroom. We took our time, savoring every touch, every whispered word. I'm falling in love with you, I breathed against her neck. She pulled me closer, gray eyes fierce. I already fell. We stayed awake until dawn, mapping each other's skin with gentle hands and softer mouths, finally safe enough to be completely vulnerable. 6 months later, my career had recovered stronger than before. Mila split time between Scotland and Torrance. We stood in my rebuilt studio surrounded by sculptures inspired by our journey. She handed me a key. I bought us a house, she said, something permanent. I kissed her deeply, tasting our future. Yes to whatever comes next, I whispered. I'd finally found home in her arms.